Good morning.
Hey, good morning. We'll give everybody just a couple more minutes to join and then we'll go ahead and get started. Alrighty, well, good morning. Want to be respectful of everyone's time. We'll go ahead and get started. And this obviously is being recorded. And so this will be posted on OPB's website on the Capital Projects Fund page so that anybody can go back and watch it if they were not able to join this session. With that, my name is Jessica Simmons. I serve as the Deputy CIO for Broadband and Special Projects at the Georgia Technology Authority. And we are providing technical assistance to the Office of Planning and Budget for the Capital Projects Grant Program. We obviously previously last year ran the grant round for round one of this. This is the second round. The governor announced $234 million in capital projects fund awards back in January of this year. However, there were 5 counties that were part of the initial areas that were eligible that did not receive awards. And so at that point, we were putting just those 5 counties back out for eligibility. There is obviously a much smaller set of resources remaining with the Capital Projects Fund, as we'll discuss here in a moment. With that, the process will work exactly the way that it did for the first round of the grant. As I mentioned, there's approximately $15 million available for this grant round. The 5 preliminary eligible project areas that were not awarded in round one are the areas that we are targeting for this program. And those at the time and still reviewed were based for eligibility based on the most unserved counties within the state, based on the Georgia broadband map. We are running a service verification process again for these particular counties, and I'll discuss that in a moment. As with the first round, the eligible applicants will be internet service providers, whether that's a traditional ISP, whether that's an EMC, whether that's a municipally owned broadband network. The goal of this for ownership and procurement is that it's whoever is going to ultimately own the network in the end is going to be the lead applicant. As we did last time, partnership applications will be allowed, where essentially the application is, if somebody wants to apply for one of these 5 counties, they should reach out to me. My contact information is at the end of this presentation, and request the information for the specific addresses that we are making available for this grant program. It is not all addresses within a particular county. It's the subset of addresses that the state has done an analysis on and determined that those are going to be eligible based on the unserved nature of those particular locations. And then with that, again, just as we did last time, a project, an area can only be eligible and the project can only be eligible if it's a new project, meaning if there are no resources that have been spent on field construction for both aerial or underground projects. If it's gone really beyond a planning or engineering phase, it's not eligible for this program. If something is already actively building in one of those particular counties, it is not eligible for this program. And as we did last time as well, and as is stated in the notice of funding opportunity, the award will only be forward-looking, and so only allowable costs are incurred after the execution of terms and conditions for the program will be considered for reimbursement. Again, these are and I apologize, it's small, but these are the 5 counties that are eligible. This is also on the Office of Planning and Budget's website. We've got Johnson County, Eccles County, Webster County, Calhoun County, and Miller County. Again, those are the 5 counties that did not receive an award from round 1. And again, with a small set of resources, again, we're targeting those areas. As I mentioned before, there is the service verification process where, like we've done with our last 2 programs, if a provider believes that a location within our subset of available locations for this program for funding, that they're already serving that or they're actively building to serve that location. Obviously, we don't want duplicative resources in those areas. And so that's why we have the service verification process, so that a provider can let the state know that they are already actively either serving or actively building to that particular location. And so at that point, we would review that. And if that's validated during the service verification process, those locations would be removed from the eligible project areas. And then if based on the service verification process, a particular county would drop below our threshold of either having more than 2,500 unserved locations or being more than 20% unserved, then at that point, the county would no longer be eligible for the program. We saw that last time where we started off with 40-some counties, and then it ended up being 33 that were eligible for round 1. The 5 counties have been cross-checked based on the most recent information that the state does have from our forward-looking broadband map update for July 1st. But obviously, we feel like this is a very important process to make sure that we're not duplicating resources. And so, again, if there is a location that somebody is serving or is building to actively serve, we want to know about that so that obviously it is not included in this program. And all of the information about how you actually do this process is on OPB's website. The service verification form is on OPB's website, and that also gives you the particular email address to submit that along with the documentation. The timeline for this, obviously, the notice of funding opportunity was released last week and the service verification process opened. We're doing our virtual applicant workshop today. The service verification process closes on March 3rd at 5 p.m. Any service verifications that are accepted following that will not be reviewed. And then our application window opens on March 13th following our state's time to obviously validate any service verifications that are submitted during this window. We will be doing another virtual applicant workshop the following day, just so that when applicants see the application, if they have any questions related to that, then we certainly can address that on that workshop. It will be the same application and the same questions that were asked in the first round. So hopefully applicants are familiar with those questions and the information that's going to be required. The applications will be due by April 21st by 5 p.m. And anything that will be received after that will not be considered. The system does, we use SurveyMonkey Apply, and the system at 5 p.m. does close applications being submitted. And then obviously we have state review of the applications to ultimately make final recommendations to the governor. And then it's our goal that in spring of this year that we will be announcing the awards from hopefully our successful grant round, so that we can go ahead and get these projects going, because again, these projects are under the same timeline with State Fiscal Recovery Fund and also Capital Projects Fund Round 1, where all of the project build-outs must be done by the end of 2026. All of the scoring criteria is exactly the same from the first round. So project design and implementation, capability and competency, performance measures. Obviously, the largest portion of this is your budget. Community engagement. This is something that was really important in the first round that we saw. It's really important to have letters of support from the local governments, large businesses, elected officials, county officials, really to show the understanding and buying of the community of the need of these resources there. That is something that, the state was looking to see community engagement and For applications that did not have any type of community engagement last time, they certainly did suffer in this particular area, and it's very important to the state that we do see community engagement here, because that is something that's very critical to include based on our plan that we submitted to Treasury of how we're really going to work with the communities as we're looking to target this funding, and also as the build outs are taking place. And then finally, with an affordable offering is also a scored metric. Again, as I mentioned last time, partnerships are possible based on the fact that we know that obviously for some applicants, whether it might be a traditional ILEC or an EMC, that territories obviously don't necessarily traditionally follow county lines. And so that's why we wanted to make it an opportunity for applicants to be able to partner, so that way, if somebody is not comfortable moving out of their particular territory, as long as they can find a partner that will come in and serve the remaining set of locations. So essentially, if the state says that there's 1,000 locations there and one partner A wants to do 500, they just need to make sure that they find somebody else to do the additional 500 so that we get to our total 1,000. And then as with last time and with the other programs, uniform guidance applies along with 2 CFR 200. The state is expecting, based on conversations with Treasury, that there might be some additional flexibility granted for State Fiscal Recovery Fund and Capital Projects Fund. But until we have that solidified in writing from Treasury, we have to operate under the set of guidance that we currently have. And so I just want to make sure that everybody is aware of this requirement and what that entails. And then obviously, as we have additional information, if Treasury is planning to give the states and the applicants more flexibility, we'll certainly communicate that as well. With that, I'm going to open it up for questions, but the one thing I want to stress, just because we did see this in round one, is just to make sure that if the state says there's 1,250 locations that are eligible for this program within an area, applicants need to submit the application for that number of locations. We saw some where they either did not request the information from the state, or they included more locations. And at that point, that application is ineligible, because we are specifically asking for grant proposals for the specific number of locations that the state has deemed eligible for this program. And again, if anybody wants to get a copy of that data, they just need to reach out to me and we'll walk them through that process. But with that, I would like to go ahead and see if we've got any questions from our attendees. Again, just wanted to follow up if there's any questions. My information, let me click on the last slide. My information is right here along with Jana's as well from OPB. Just to kind of clarify, if you've got any questions related to the grant portal, or anything that might be on OPB's website, or anything that you have sent to a particular email address, whether it's a service verification email address or anything like that, it's really a true grant question. It's probably best to direct that question first to Jana. If you have any questions really related to the project area, or kind of more broadband specific, then definitely please send those to me. But regardless, whoever you reach out to contact, obviously we coordinate very closely, and so we'll make sure that your question gets to the right person regardless of who you reach out to. But with that, again, just wanted to give anybody the opportunity one last time for any questions, or also just wanted to see if there's anything else that John or Jen from OPB wanted to add.
I was going to add one comment about the Davis-Bacon requirements. A lot of the folks under this program may be funded fiscal recovery funds, and that is one important distinction. While most of the policy requirements overlap, there is one with the Davis-Bacon. The State Fiscal Recovery Fund is projects greater than $10 million in total project costs, while state or capital project funds, the threshold is at $5 million of just capital project funds. So that is a really important threshold, especially if you have state fiscal recovery funds and capital project funds. You have to comply with Davis-Bacon. If you have an award that is $5 million or more, And the way that that is captured in the reporting and compliance guide indicates that recipients can either choose to essentially certify that they comply with Davis-Bacon, or they can do an alternative, I think it's project employment impact report or something along those lines. It's on our website as well. So from our standpoint, in reporting, we are allowing grantees to do either or. So they can either certify and then ensure that they have the information available if we were to ever ask them to show, supporting documentation of that. Or they can do that project impact, employment impact report. So either or. So that's how we're dealing with that. So in the guidance, again, you'll see that you either can, or that you can do the alternate report. So just wanted to bring that to your attention because that is a pretty big difference.
And again, we will be posting this on OPB's website. So obviously it'll be a copy of the presentation and then any of the information that we've discussed during the webinar that will be available online. And again, once the grant application is open, we will be doing a second webinar. That way, if anybody has any questions as they see the application or the application process, we certainly can address that there. Or any other questions, again, this is our contact information. We're happy to work with you offline, but we want to make sure that everybody understands the parameters and structure of the program. It is exactly like what we just did the first round, but just for the 5 counties that didn't receive an award. With that, I'll give everybody just one more chance if there are any questions for the group. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and close the session, and this will be posted shortly on the Capital Projects Fund page on OPB's website. Alrighty, well, thank you, everybody. And again, please reach out. We want to make sure that everybody understands the process, and we look forward to another successful grant round. So thank you very much.